After over 20 years of wise and compassionate leadership, our pastor, Don Hutchings, has retired. And we are in the process of discerning our future mission and ministry. We invite you to be part of our journey. Your encouragement, comments, and suggestions are welcome. Our email address is on our website, holycrosslutheran.ca. These inspirational recordings are prepared by our worship team, and over the next number of weeks, we will be focusing on the season of creation. We are grateful for the seed that was planted by Australian Norm Habel that has grown into an abundant international resource of faith-based creation, awareness, and action. Again, welcome as we worship during this season of creation.
In the name of God, who knows the laws of nature, the name of Christ, a cosmic power embracing nature, and the name of the Spirit, swirling in the winds of nature, we open ourselves to your presence today as we worship in this sanctuary called earth.
Holy, 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 earth is filled with your presence.
Creator Spirit, help us to see the deep, powerful forces you have planted in creation as wondrous and natural. Teach us to recognize that the climate too is sustained by your wisdom, and to rejoice with all the forces of nature. In the name of Christ, who reconciles and renews all things in creation. Amen.
So a reading from Job, the 38th chapter. Then Yahweh answered Job from the heart of the storm. Who is this, obscuring my plans with such ignorant words? Hitch up your belt like the fighter you are, and now I will ask the questions, and you will answer me. Where were you when I created the earth? If you know the answer, tell me. Who decided its size? Do you know? Who stretched the measuring line across it? And into what foundation were its pillars sunk? Who laid the cornerstone while all the choruses of the morning stars sang and the heavenly court shouted for joy? And who held back the sea behind partitions when it burst forth from my womb? But turn to the animals and let them teach you. The birds of the air will tell you the truth. Listen to the plants of the earth and learn from them. Let the fish of the sea become your teachers. Who among all these does not know that the hand of Yahweh has done this? In God's hand is the soul of every living thing. In God's hand is the breath of all humankind.
One of my first moments of awe of creation happened in Yellowstone National Park. Coming from England, where the ground was usually soggy with leaves and mud, I had never experienced the Earth's crust as anything but solid. But in Yellowstone, I saw the Earth's crust bubbling with sulfur pools, very far from solid. However, the real moment of awe was when Old Faithful predictably erupted with a jet of water. I remember feeling suddenly humbled and thinking, there has to be a God. My awe was composed of fear and wonder at the uncertainty of the ground. No wonder I wanted a ground of all being to rely on. I think Job might have experienced the same sense of awe when God spoke to him out of the whirlwind. Job too likely felt very small at that moment. Someone recently asked me, why is it so hard to hear the voice of God? I empathized, then considered perhaps we're searching in all the wrong places. We tend to seek the holy in our church buildings or historically sacred places, the scriptures or hymns or prayers, all these of our own creation. Yet many more encounter the Creator through nature. And earlier on in Job we hear that the animals and earth will teach us. The fish of the sea inform us that the Creator is present in the life of every creature and the breath of mankind. Creation spirituality is not the product of a newfangled New Age culture. Rather, it is the rediscovery of ancient wisdom. Indigenous peoples the world over, and Celtic cultures, all revered every element of nature. In the Hebrew tradition, the psalmists praised God through creation. In Christian tradition, the mystics experienced the holy through nature. For example, St. John of the Cross writes, "My beloved is the mountains and lonely wooded valleys, strange islands and resounding rivers, the whistling of love-stirring breezes, the tranquil night at the time of the rising dawn." And our hymn today is from St. Francis of Assisi. Now, Meister Eckhart, a 13th century German theologian, speaks of love as being the energy of the universe. If so, we need to look more closely at the universe in order to learn how to love. Matthew Fox, who is passionate about ecology, points out that the force of love both continually unites and continually expands. We see this in any community that draws together over a common cause and unites to bring change. For example, last night I watched a nature program on the Batman of Mexico, whose passion and love for the tequila bat has brought it from near extinction to being removed from the endangered species list. Local farmers had feared the bats after the movie Dracula was released in the early 1920s. This man began by teaching local farmers about the benefits of having bats, which were eating the bugs that destroyed their corn. In the same way, he used his knowledge of bats to stop people killing them. Bats fertilized the tequila plant, a very popular drink with the local people and a very important export. By gathering students around him, searching for bats through caves full of droppings and cockroaches, and tracking their flight paths, he has spread his love of this creature and restored a decimated population. Knowledge and understanding changed fear to love. Here in the West, we live in a very fruitful part of the world. Yet the abundance of food has unfortunately led us to be wasteful. The earth is so generous to us. Can we learn to be more generous to those who have less? I had one of those moments recently when I was going to Value Village. I realized that everything in the building was from the earth. Obvious, perhaps, but I guess I hadn't thought about it. Our food, our clothing, our houses, our cars, they are all from this planet. And in nature we see the endless variety which enriches the planet. Varieties of plants, animals. Can we learn to embrace the diversity in our midst and love the gifts of other cultures and other creatures? There are times when nature is empty. To us, the desert is an empty and barren place, a wasteland. Yet 10 million truckloads of mineral dust from the Sahara is carried by the wind into the rainforests of South America, fertilizing the plants and trees. And the dust from the Mongolian desert is carried by wind to the Pacific, where the iron it contains feeds the phytoplankton, the basis of the food chain. Can we look again at what seems useless to us and find value? I was sitting on a beach at Lake Erie recently, and I was thinking I'd better get my Kindle from the car and study instead of wasting time. I had this reflection to do. Then I decided that no, I will try and be present to this moment. And I enjoyed feeling the breeze on my face, the shade of a tree, and watching families digging in the sand and splashing in the water. The breeze, the Spirit of God, which moved over the waters at the beginning of creation. A gentle reminder of the breath of all life. The air that we share. How do I keep the air clean? And where do I contribute to pollution? We are learning so much more about our world. When I see pictures of Earth from the moon, I'm stunned at the beauty of this planet, so colorful. So far we have discovered nothing like it in all creation. How unique and precious the earth is. All creatures are creative. We too are creative. 7 centuries ago, Eckhart wrote this: "The human spirit storms the firmament and scales the heavens until it reaches the spirit that drives the heavens. As a result of heaven's revolution, everything in the world flourishes and bursts into leaf. The spirit, however, is never satisfied. It presses on ever further into the vortex and primary source in which the spirit has its origins." I wonder what Eckhart would think of moon landings, satellites, and the amazing telescopes of today. Humans have made it possible to go to the heights of mountains, the depths of the oceans, and now into space. Nature also teaches us about balance, how important the sun, the rain, the wind, oceans, and insects are. Seeing the fires and the floods and the devastation that has resulted from them reminds us of our dependence on forces we cannot control. We too are creatures of this earth and in dynamic interrelationships with all of our lives, with all of life, as the indigenous remind us by their reference to all our relations. Talking of insects, I was visiting Costa Rica recently, and we learned that mosquitoes are essential for fertilizing the cocoa plant. So bananas are planted alongside the cocoa trees to attract them. Now, I'm not keen on mosquitoes, but I do love chocolate, so I have a new respect and tolerance for them. Can we seek a better balance, more harmony with all creation? Recent studies on trees and forests have opened our eyes to the communication between trees and fungi, leaves that leach out protective juices to prevent damage from insects. Are we taking care of those who need protection in our society? As I've read about creation, I am again reminded that everything has a purpose. And if we accept that love is the energy of the universe, that all has been created by love, for love, then all is sacred, all is holy. The ancient cultures of Greece and Rome had gods and goddesses of earth and sea, so the elements were respected and treated accordingly. Since the time of Galileo and Darwin, the Church has hidden its head in the sand to science and refused to listen. We are living the legacy of that closed-mindedness. Thankfully, environmentalists are changing that. The churches, to my mind, are very late to the party, and even today dismiss those who disagree with their traditional narrative and speak out too loudly. We still have literalists, flat earthers, deniers of the moon landing, anti-vaxxers. We are very much a consumer culture, discarding rather than repairing, looking for a deal and not worrying about the worker in Indonesia, China, or Bangladesh. May our capacity for love unite us and expand to include all of creation. Amen.
The prayer attributed to Jesus. Our Mother, our Father, Giver of life, holiness of presence, may our hearts always bow to you. Your realm break forth, your delight blossom among us, making this earth your heaven. Give us each moment our life, our breath. Free us from being judged as we free others from our judgments. Guide us safely past our desires and attachments, and rescue us from the power of evil. For the world is yours. The only real power is yours. Creation's splendor is yours in this present moment and in eternity. Amen.
Creator of the universe, attune us to your wisdom deep in creation. Make our spirits sensitive to the forces of nature at work beneath us and the suffering of those who experience severe changes in their climate. Holy One, may our hearts be open to the songs of our kin, songs of celebration from the sea, the land, and the weather around the world. Divine Spirit of wisdom, teach us to care for all your world. Amen.
Over the summer months, we have been meeting in person for worship once a month at our church home, the Gathering Center, Wayne Drive in Newmarket. This will continue for the months of September and October. Please mark your calendars for Sunday, September the 18th and October the 16th and plan to join us. Worship begins at 10:45. We are part of creation, the amazing evolving planet we call Earth. Our faith calls us to be more than consumers, and so we respond in ways both big and small, striving to be love in the world. We ask that you also be more than consumers. We hope that you find these videos to be inspiring and ask that you respond by financially supporting our work. Donations can be made through our website, holycrosslutheran.ca. Your encouragement, comments, suggestions, and financial support are welcome. Our email address can also be found on our website. Thank you and blessings.